Alright guys, let's continue on with this Modal Exploration mini-series that I'm doing. Today we're going to talk about the Dorian Mode, and that is the second mode of the natural diatonic scale. So, last time we talked about Ionian mode, or the major scale. And now what we're going to do is we're going to play the same grouping of notes, but we're going to start and end on the second scale degree. Now if we were in C Ionian before, we're going to start and end on D, but play all the notes in the C Ionian mode, which will give us, if we were playing before C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, now we will have D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So the Dorian mode's intervallic makeup is starting on the root, then a whole step up, then a half step, then a whole step again, half step, and a whole step back to the root. You could also say it's made up of a root, a major second, a minor third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a major sixth, and a minor seventh in relation to the root. So as I had mentioned before, each note will get its own scale degree, and because we are using all of the same notes as C Ionian or C major, but we are now shifting our tonal center to the D, to the second note of that scale, we're going to call the D 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again. And that's going to be D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Now when we refer to scale degrees, the blank numbers, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we're going to use that as a quick way to reference the major scale. And what we're going to do is we're going to flat and sharp, place flats and sharps right before the numbers of the scale degrees that we want to alter. So D Dorian, since the third off of the root is a minor third, we're going to call it a flat 3. And since the seventh is a minor 7, we're going to call it a flat 7. So the scale degrees will now look like this: 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, and back to 1. The full Dorian shape on the treble side consists of a C rudiment, which is a whole step and then a half step, followed by 3 A rudiments, which is a whole step and then a whole step, followed by a B rudiment, which is a half step and then a whole step. So we've got from the root, which in matched reciprocal tuning will be the 10th fret, and in classic tuning will be the 8th fret, is going to be C rudiments, so that's, and then we're going to stretch out to get the 3 A rudiments, and then a B rudiment. All together. On the bass side, from the root, we've got the C B rudiment twice, and then we've got a B A rudiment again twice, and then an A rudiment. All together. When we build triads off of each note in the D Dorian mode, we wind up with a pattern of major, minor, and diminished chords that goes like this. The 1 is minor, 2 will also be minor, 3 is major, 4 is major, 5 is minor, 6 is diminished, 7 is major, and then 1 again, of course, is minor. When we build up 7th chords by giving the root to the bass side and the triad built off of the third of the chord on the treble side, we wind up with a pattern that sees the 1 as a minor 7, the 2 as a minor 7, the 3 is a major 7, the 4 as a dominant 7, the 5 as a major 7, sorry, as a minor 7, the 6 as a half diminished, and the 7 chord as a major 7 chord. And then back to the 1. This is a good time to take note that a mode's character, whether or not it is a major or a minor mode, is built off of the chord, or is decided from the chord that is built off of the root. In Ionian mode, since the root chord is a major 7 chord, we consider it a major mode. In Dorian mode, since the root chord is a minor 7 chord, it is considered a minor mode. So now let's take a look at some of the melodic nuances and the chord progressions, common Dorian chord progressions that make the Dorian mode such a unique sound. So I think the endemic piece of music in the last 100 years that really screams Dorian to me is Footprints by Wayne Shorter. It's a jazz blues, and let's take a look at the chord progression, right? We've got C minor 7 to F minor 7, back to C minor, and then a 5 of 5, well, a D7 chord, which would normally lead us to the G7, but instead he walks it down a half step to a D flat 7 for that tritone substitution. It's all very technical stuff. If you don't understand it, that's all right. You know, I'll have another video talking about this stuff in the future. And then he returns to the C minor 7. So you could use something like C minor pentatonic over just about the whole thing. You could use the C minor scale on just about the whole thing. But the melody uses C Dorian. And very sparingly, but just enough to give it a serious, very interesting and different melodic bend. So we're starting on this flat 7 here, and then up to the root, up to that C, and then we emphasize that natural 6th in the Dorian. And over the C, if that were minor, it would sound more like this. Very different sound, right? So when we hear it all together, it winds up sounding like this. And even over coming back to the C from the F, oops. We get that Dorian bent, and that natural 6th that says Dorian. And even though that note, the Dorian note, shows up, you know, very sparingly in the melody of the song, just its presence alone completely identifies, at least to me, the melody and where you should start when you improvise over it, you know, using the Dorian mode and that kind of thing. Occasionally you'll hear Dorian mode used in more popular contexts, in, you know, like the chord progression or something, like with Tears for Fears, Mad World by Tears for Fears. Da, 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 da. It's that appearance of, you know, I'm playing D minor, which is the minor 1. I'm just putting it in D minor, so we'll just say that's the 1 for now. And then I'm playing the major 3, which is F, and then down to the major 7, which is C, or the major flat 7 rather, which is C major chord. And so far we've got everything that could also be found in a D natural minor scale, right? But then the very last chord is that G major with the natural sixth in it, and that's the Dorian, and it totally changes it. Here, I'll play it. I'll play the song and I'll sing the melody again, but this time I'll make it natural minor. It's pretty different to me. Those two things are pretty different to my ear. There's a bittersweetness and a lightness that Dorian has that the natural minor just doesn't have. It's too dark of a sound. And so including that chord progression, or including that chord within the chord progression, you know, just changing the 4 to a major in what would normally be a minor key chord progression, adds a bit of brightness to something that would otherwise be a very dark passage. Dorian Mode also gives us what we would consider a pretty classic, like, samba chord progression or something like that, going from the 1 minor 7 directly to the 4 dominant, which is about as directly Dorian as you can get. We can even hear it showing up in traditional tunes like Scarborough Fair. And it's, again, that natural sixth that really brings out the Dorian. Versus something like this, if that were in the natural mode. So this is a look into what makes Dorian Mode unique and sound like Dorian, and a look at some of the, you know, more popular, more well-known instances of Dorian in music. You've likely heard it sprinkled here and there in the music that you've listened to throughout the Western tradition, and if you listen to jazz, then yes, you've definitely heard Dorian. Using Dorian to harmonize your chord progressions is a great way to add a touch of lightness to what would otherwise be a very dark passage. You'll find it a lot in, like, classic rock as well. You know, those guys would want to play something powerful but that also felt victorious, and hitting that major 4 in a minor chord progression that's it, you know. And then using it to solo with and using it to write your melodies with is a great way to add a really unique color to your music. So I hope this has been helpful. Take it, try it out, learn the scale, learn the mode, and yeah, good luck, keep exploring.